きこえの未来。
はい、皆さん、聞こえの未来シーズン3をご視聴いただき誠にありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
オーティコン補聴器の田中です。
茨城大学の田原です。
岡山大学の片岡です。
はい、今日私たちはまた懲りずにデンマークのオーティコン本社に来てしまいました。今はとてもデンマークらしい風にやられています。はい。で、今回はですね、少し実践的な内容に絞って実際に聴覚障害のある方をサポートするためにはどういった支援が必要かということをまたスペシャリストに聞いていきたいと思っています。そして今回ディスカッションパートも用意しておりますので、ぜひお楽しみください。
それでは行ってみましょうか。
はい、行きましょう。For today's video, we'd like to welcome Dr. Hamish Brown as our guest again, and he's come from Erik Home Research Center. So, Hamish, could you briefly introduce yourself to our Japanese viewers?
Thanks, Kay. Yeah, my name's Hamish Brown. I'm a senior research manager at Eriksholm Research Center. Eriksholm is part of the R&D organization of Oticon, and we do research that aims to understand the phenomena behind the types of problems that people with hearing difficulties have in their everyday life.
Thank you. And yeah, actually, Hamish is a speaker. Hamish is the only speaker who's been with us all times inきこえのミライ video series. So many viewers might be familiar with your face, so you might be famous in Japan. Right, so in season 3, we'd like to focus on the practical support for people with hearing impairment. But before we dive into the topic, could you give us any updates from the Erik Research Center? So I remember for season 2, so last time, that you started new research project on listening effort and listening fatigue, and Erik Research Center was planning to establish a new AI division.
Yep, yeah, that's right. So we have started the project that I talked about last time. It's a project where we're interested particularly in fatigue. So fatigue is something really interesting. It's not something that you can easily measure from someone's body. It's a feeling that you have. And it's interesting because it's the feeling that you have when you're not able to do something anymore, which you would otherwise be able to do. So if you experience fatigue when you're out running, for example, then you slow down and you have a rest. But it's a super interesting thing because it's also, you can change your feeling of fatigue. For example, if you're out running and you start to feel fatigued and you think, oh, I'd really like to have a rest, but then a bear starts to chase you or something, you'll find more energy, your fatigue will actually go away. So fatigue, and this is the same in cognitive tasks and other types of things that you do where the feeling of fatigue comes, it stops you doing what you want to do. So we thought that this is a concept that does appear with hearing aid users in particular. So hearing aid users often report that they have to stop doing something that they want to do. For example, it could be going to a restaurant after work or meeting your grandchildren or something like that. This feeling of fatigue stops you doing something that you would like to do. So we want to try and understand the relationship between the effort that you put into listening throughout the day and this fatigue feeling which builds up. It's something that we don't know a lot about at the moment. It's also very hard to research because of this way that it can go up and down all of the time. But we've started that, and we start to understand a little bit. We're collecting data right now, so we have a little bit of insights into there. But there's a lot that we don't know there. With the AI stuff, yes, Ericsholm now has a fourth kind of research area called Ericsholm AI. And within that research area, there's two focuses. One is called computational audiology, and that is where we try to use all of the data that we have about an individual person that comes through the fitting software, through the medical health data that we have, and we try and use that information to predict what to do with a particular patient. So the idea is to try and get like a better first adjustment of a hearing aid, for example. Quite often when hearing aid users come into the clinic for the first time, they get their hearing aid set up, and it might not be set up the best way. They have to come back and maybe come back again. We would like to try and shorten that by using some of the information that we have historically about people to predict, what are the conditions under which people are more likely to get good benefit from their hearing devices. And then the second part of that AI leg is really about the hearing aid system itself. So the really advanced noise reduction, the ability to predict where or who someone is trying to listen and that kind of stuff. So that's really in the hearing aid itself.
Thanks for sharing your great updates. So I'm so interested in the AI technology in the future. Yeah. Okay, so we will definitely keep on following your progress. Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, today's main topic is practical support for people with hearing impairments. So you are involved in hearing care from the standpoint of auditory neuroscience or basic research, basic auditory research, before product development. So would you let us know your perspective on what specific type of support need to reduce the difficulty, especially the listening effort or fatigue, that people with hearing impairment are experiencing in daily life?
Yeah. So that is a really tough question.
Yeah, I know.
Because as you said, like we're doing research to try and understand the phenomenon. So we're way too soon to really start saying, well, we should do this or we should do that, because we don't understand even the whole phenomenon yet. However, I think it is interesting from a clinical perspective to start introducing the idea of fatigue into the discussion that we have with hearing aid users. And in relation to that, maybe we could start to talk to people about how they can adjust their hearing aids themselves, even simple things like turning the volume up and down, to be mindful about like the times of the day where they do want to invest high effort. For example, if you're a student and you're in a noisy classroom, learning something for an exam later that afternoon, then perhaps we shouldn't be talking about avoiding listening effort during that time, but actually applying listening effort, but with the realization that it will come with fatigue later. So we could start to ask hearing aid users, like during the day would you like to turn up the gas, let's say, and use some of your resources, and when would you like to not use some resources? So start to bring those sort of elements into the conversation. We can also learn from that. Eventually the idea would be that the hearing aid can figure that out for itself automatically, and that's what we are working on, but we can't do that yet. So, but already we could start to talk to hearing aid users about these type of concepts, I think.
Yeah, great. So I'm glad to hear that you are update your information. So, but Yuko, so what do you think about his talk so far?
Thank you very much. What Hamish mentioned is really important and interesting. And now we are researching how to measure listening effort using sensor-installed eyeglasses.
Yeah.
We got results that it might be possible to measure listening effort with them. And what's the current state of Erik Holm Research Center's research on it? And do you think it is possible to collect the data that could be practically useful so far?
Yeah, I think it will be, and I think I'm not sure how far that is off, how far away we are from that. We can see Dr. Tabaru is wearing these glasses, which is almost completely normal looking glasses. It's only when you look very closely that you can see
it's
measuring eye blinks and head movements with the idea of linking this to effortful listening periods during the day. So these type of things I think can be very interesting in the near future, and I don't know what I mean by near future. Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Is it 20 years? I don't know. But what we're doing at Eriksholm, so we know very well how to measure listening effort in lab situations. So we can use pupillometry, we can use neuroimaging technologies like FNIRS, and we can quite well get an idea of the amount of effort that people are putting into different lab listening situations. But these type of technologies are, of course, they're good for understanding the phenomenon, but they're not very good for controlling a hearing aid or giving some kind of real life and real-time information, because it's a big machine that you can't wear around with you. So these type of information from the eyes, also we're looking at wristbands that are measuring heart rate, temperature, skin conductance, things like that. And we're more and more taking our research out into the real world. So we've done quite a lot of research now trying to find the kind of scientific mechanisms that explain things like listening effort. And now we can start to use that with the measures out in the real world. So that's where a lot of our focus is, either on field studies where we take all these measurements and we relate them to the sound environment. The hearing aids have microphones in them, of course, so we're able to log the sound pressure level, the signal to noise ratio, and things that tell us about what the sound actually was in the environment with these physiological measures. And we also typically use smartphone-based surveys to try and find what was the listening intention, what was the listening importance, and what were the type of difficulties that people were having in those situations. So we really need to link up the physiological data, the sound environment data, and what people are actually saying in order to take our, so far, lab-based scientific explanations into the field. And there's a third step, which is to then try and use that information in a more kind of condensed way for the hearing aid itself, without all this extra information, to be able to do something. But so I think, yes, we will be, this is exactly where we try to go. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We are looking forward to next generation hearing aids combined with some other devices and hearing aids. Thank you very much.
Hamish, so thank you again for sharing your great information. I'm so interested in that your research here. And finally, do you have any message for our Japanese viewers? So I heard you have some great video program as well.
We do, thanks Kay. So if you look at the Eriksholm website, or the Eriksholm YouTube channel, or the Eriksholm Instagram page, you'll find a series of videos called Eriksholm Update, that's led by our Senior Director James Hart, where he goes around all the scientists and research audiologists at Eriksholm, providing short, snappy videos where we give an update of what's actually going on. It is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Great as well. Right, so thank you once again for wonderful conversation. And there are much more things to talk with you, but yeah, we'd like to do so in the discussion part. Yeah. Okay, so I forgot one more thing. So please revisit Japan soon.
I would love to visit Japan soon. Yeah,
right.
One of my favorite places. Yeah.
Thank you. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Yeah.
はい、それではもうすっかりおなじみとなりましたハミッシュの動画についてちょっと振り返っていきたいと思います。でやはり私は研究者としてかなりエリクスホルムは基礎的なことをやっているので非常に興味深く聞いていました。で一貫してやっぱりリスニングエフォート、リスニングファティーグについて研究を続けていると。ただやっぱり難しさもあって、彼らですらこう試行錯誤してるんだなっていうのを改めて感じました。あともう一つは AI ですね。でやはり個別化っていうところでさまざまなデータを集めてそれを予測して、ベストな状態を持っていくっていうところ、これはもう他の動画で話すトーマスのところにもつながるかなというふうに思っています。このハミッシュのトピックについてはいかがでしょうか。
ハミッシュの研究に関して、私たちも少し自分たちの研究で同じようなリスニングエフォートを測るっていう研究をしていることで非常に共感する部分と何か結びつけていけるんじゃないのかなと感じました。で、そのデンマークの研究はその研究が開発にすぐに結びついていってそこから世の中の困っている人たちに提供していけるようになっていくっていうのがすごくポテンシャルがあるなと私は感じていて、そういったところに私たちも結びつけていきながら、研究していることを社会に還元していけるようになったらいいなと感じましたね。
じゃあありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
50 kilometers north of Damont's headquarters lies the Eriksholm Research Centre, part of Oticon's R&D organisation. It is here that a multidisciplinary team of researchers, audiologists and scientists make audiological discoveries. Discoveries which have the potential to significantly improve the future of hearing care and the lives of people with hearing loss. When Eriksholm Research Centre was established more than 40 years ago, the aim was unconventional: to create a centre for audiological research and knowledge exchange that would be free to think unlimited thoughts and go beyond technology to encompass all aspects of hearing. Today, Eriksholm remains true to its founding spirit and has grown to become an internationally recognised modern research facility. Each day, Eriksholm's team challenges the status quo to gain a deeper understanding of relevant areas within audiology, and follows global trends and innovations that have the potential to impact hearing care. Through close cooperation with leading academic research institutions around the world, Eriksholm is able to create mutually beneficial synergies. Synergies which are critical to identifying relevant research themes, finding new approaches to existing challenges, and testing new ideas and audiological concepts. Eriksholm's research always takes a starting point in user needs. The knowledge created at Eriksholm lays the foundation for Oticon's product development teams to further advance innovative audiological concepts and apply those concepts in hearing solutions that empower people with hearing loss. Innovation is Eriksholm's essence, its history, its present, and a commitment for the future. And the goal is clear: to ensure that audiological discoveries will continue to make a positive difference for hearing aid users in the future.